And this is a Fox News alert. Our local station in Orlando, Florida, WOFL Fox 35, just sat down for an exclusive interview with an alternate juror in the George Zimmerman murder trial. Here's a portion of that interview.
What did you think of the verdict?
Well, I supported the verdict. I agree with it.
And was there anything in the evidence, in the testimony, that really came out at you?
I think the things that I focused on when I was doing my own deliberation was the non-emergency phone call. I did pick up on some things out of Jeantel's testimony. Trayvon Martin's phone records, or her phone records when they were talking.
Of course, Rachel Jeantel is the friend that Trayvon Martin was talking to right before the shooting on the cell phone.
Correct. Yep. Yep. And the ear witness, I call them ear witnesses, the ones that heard the noises, which way the noises were going. They helped me fill a gap, and then a couple of the eyewitnesses. And I think the one thing that stands out the most is the entries to Mr. Zimmerman.
What did you think of neighbor John Good's testimony? Talked about MMA style, ground and pound.
Yeah, I mean, you know, what I got from that was just the motions that he saw. You know, whether it was ground and pound or MMA, you know, it wasn't relevant to me. It was just the motions and the fact that who he saw on top and who he thought was on the bottom. I think those were the more relevant features of his testimony to me.
Did you think Rachel Jeantel was credible?
I think, well, I did have some, I did pick up some credible information from her, and so yeah, I do think she was credible.
And whose voice do you think was on the 911 call?
Personally, I can't tell you who it was, but from the witnesses' testimonies and from the entries to George Zimmerman, I believe it to be it.
You believe that it was George Zimmerman's
Yes.
voice, and so you would have voted not guilty.
Correct.
What did you think of B37, the juror who spoke out? Did you see that interview?
I did, yeah. To be honest with you, I was surprised that anybody could come out that quickly and talk about this. I know that when I got done and released and was asked about what I thought, I didn't even know where to start. You know, I didn't know what to say. So I was a little surprised that she came out as quickly as she did. I'm not surprised that it might have been that was her that came out, but you know, I just think that was a little bit too soon.
And what's your reaction to all the protests, demonstrations, and talks of a civil rights complaint now?
Yeah, you know, I just don't understand the civil rights complaint. I didn't see the evidence there that in the courtroom that would make anybody believe there was a civil rights case for this. The protest, you know, people are going to be angry no matter what the verdict was, and there's nothing we can do about that. So I just hope that they're peaceful, and they, you know, they just do it, you know, as calmly, as quiet, and as best they can. I mean, you know, and there's not destruction and not hatred and not, you know, a lot of anger towards the jurors.
And so when you heard the verdict, what was going through your mind, and how did it make you feel?
Well, what went through my mind was, my first impression was that I thought that it was an accurate verdict, and the next thing that went through my mind was how hard I know that the ladies worked to reach that verdict, and you know, that they were proud of them for looking at the evidence and doing what they had to do to come up with the verdict. And
what was your reaction when you found out that you were an alternate?
Disappointed. I had a feeling it might have been an alternate, but because of where I was sitting, but I would have liked to have been in the room with other 5 ladies, and had a chance to talk about it. And you know, you couldn't talk about it the whole time we were together, and it would have been a great time to be able to sit down and get their thoughts and what did they see, what did I see, you know, to compare and deliberate. And I wish I had an opportunity.
Fox 35 will air that interview in its entirety tonight. Joining us now is Fox 35 reporter Valerie Boey, who just did this interview a few moments ago. And welcome back, Valerie. Also joining us is former prosecutor Doug Burns and defense attorney Remy Spencer. Valerie, let me start with you. First of all, good interview. What else
Thank
did you get? First of all, I am really impressed with the way these jurors, the seriousness with which they approach this case.
Certainly, they were very, very focused.
Yeah.
Well, it gave me a better understanding of how they looked at all this evidence and the testimony. Juror E54, this middle-aged man, he says the three things that really stood out to him were, of course, the non-emergency call that George Zimmerman made, his injuries, as well as the testimony by Jeantel. And he says that's because that call proved that Trayvon Martin was down by his father's house at the time and then had to go back up to where the shooting took place. So that's why he believes Trayvon Martin attacked George Zimmerman.
Yeah, and by the way, all the other jurors believe that too, according to the other juror that spoke out. Any other information that you got out of the interview? Give us a little preview.
Yeah, B37 said that George Zimmerman should not have, should have gone back to his car. However, E54 disagrees. He says, you know what? He lived there. He had a right to stay wherever he wanted. He says he was not profiling Trayvon Martin. And, remember how the prosecutors were trying to spin it, in that sense of making him sound like a racist? But E54 said, no, he was not, and we didn't get that at all.
Yeah.